And these people know exactly what they're doing. And I mean, it is a system. That's why they call it what do they call it? What do they call it? A church, a religious system, or whatever they call it. So it is white. They know what they're doing because I don't think nothing can be hidden from you. They know what chapters you read. They know what books you're reading. You know, if you was in your own element with your own people, they couldn't come in and know what books we were reading, what we were doing, because you can't control the masses. Just like I always say, when you go to Bible study, they have those little books and they'll print them out. They know exactly what churches they're going to. It's a system.
Mm-hmm.
People that don't look like us won't control. They have it. They can do whatever they want to. And even in your own form of mind, they can do the same thing too. So, I mean, whatever.
So I have a host. I'm sorry, I don't know your name. If I can, could I respond to that?
She on mute right now.
You can go ahead. I mean, I don't know who you're referring that to. Go ahead.
Okay, it was the host. I don't necessarily know her name, so I just called her host.
Oh, you can call
her name
her
is Lena or Cornball or whatever.
You can call her Lena.
Lena, okay, all right. Okay, so I guess I'll just go ahead and respond. There's actually a lot of things that you said that are correct. You know, there is a system. It is taught a certain way in a lot of places. You know, all of that stuff I don't really have anything to push back on because those are facts. But the thing that really kind of boils it down to me when we look at Christianity, especially when it comes to the conversation of like which person of color should follow it, right? Never in the gospel, because when we look at Christianity is just based on what? It's based on one person. And what does that person say? Jesus never in the gospel told anybody to not follow it if you're a certain color, because we are all one person under Christ. Now, of course, and I hear what you're saying, you know, one church may say it or one system may say it. And yeah, you're absolutely right. But this is why in the gospel, Jesus says it multiple times to stay connected. Stay connected. If you're only connected to Christ by going to church, then guess what? You are going to be filled up with their own opinions. And if you don't study your Bible in your own private time, if you don't make time for prayer, you don't make time for connection, your own personal relationship in heart and spirit is not going to go stronger with God. In fact, it's only going to go stronger with the pastor that you listen to. And this is why the Bible and Jesus himself says all the time, stay in me, stay in your word, stay connected. Because all of this time, you know, I've had a lot of these conversations about the person of color argument and stuff like that. When you say it hasn't done anything for people of color or Black people, when you say it hasn't done anything for them, Christianity was never supposed to do anything for a certain color. It was supposed to do something for everyone. And that's the thing. When we look at salvation in the Bible, salvation doesn't have a limit on your melanin skin. It doesn't have a limit on anything. Jesus wants two things: your obedience and your heart. He doesn't care about where it came from or all that stuff. And when you say it doesn't necessarily matter, or I don't want to misquote you, I think you said it doesn't necessarily matter, or it's not important, or it's not relevant about where it originated from. I would disagree. We always got to go back to where it originated, because it originated from the words of Jesus. I don't care about what pastor at West Baptist Church says or what pastor at Vista Church, Community Church says. I don't care about what they say. If they teach something that is contradictory to what Jesus himself said, I walk out. I have walked out on 3 churches in my lifetime because they twisted a message. And you see, when you stay in your Bible, when you stay in the Word of God, you can have that discernment. When you hear BS, you know BS when you hear it. So I would argue not to try and put it on a scale of person of color. I would argue.
Give me 1 minute. Give me 1 minute. I'm sorry, y'all. I had to step away real quick. Or somebody, mods, I was going to tell y'all, but I didn't. It was real quick.
You did.
But I have Yahshua. Give me 1 minute, Michael.
Oh yeah, you're good. Good.
All right. Yahshua, can you Yahushua?
Yahushua.
Yep. Can you introduce yourself for me?
I was going to do that. One, call me Freedom.
Freedom. Okay.
Yeah. And then two, just let everybody know I'm a guy. So I don't need y'all calling me a female, calling me sis, etc., etc. So
Oh, you're
I get it all the time. I get it all the time.
You sound like a guy to me.
Oh, trust me, you haven't been on a lot of lives I've been on.
Well, you sound good to me. You sound
he sounds like a guy to me.
You're fine.
Now I'm in a break room, but yeah, the name says it all, really. Yeshua is the freedom I have. I am a believer. I don't go by Christian. I go by Nazarene. I don't believe it's a white man's belief system. And I'm a white guy saying it. I don't believe it is. I believe where the original nation came from over there in the Middle East, it was of melanated skin. It could have been light brown. It could have been dark brown. It could have been whatever. But yeah.
Thank you. Appreciate you. All right. So we're just gonna go back to the open panel. I just wanted to bring him in the conversation.
Yeah. If Michael wasn't done,
I should have added at the bottom, and it's not mythology. I should have had my sound.
Just in trouble.
Yeah, like I might add it next time.
But yeah, if Michael wasn't done, I was going to add on.
Oh, okay.
To what he was saying.
I'm actually good. I think I said everything I needed to say.
Okay. I think to give like perspective to what Miss Lovesong was saying, when we look into like America, and especially with everything that's going on right now, in terms of society, politics, and everything like that, I think Christianity, in a sense, is a bit bastardized. And so like a lot of people don't really have like a true example of like what it means to actually follow what they call like the teachings of Christ and stuff like that. And for me, like, I'm proud with my decision of leaving the faith and everything like that. But it was through me leaving the faith and leaving the church and leaving Christianity to where I found my own path, my own like personal spiritual journey. And I had to go through all of that to then recircle back around and actually look at the teachings or the gospels in a whole different lens. Because when I had left the faith, when I left Christianity, the reason why I left was because of how Christianity was pushed on my ancestors. So it was like, I didn't want nothing to do with Christianity. I circled back around and develop a better understanding of like spirituality and the oneness with the divine and the universe. And I come to understand that like when you look at the very early sectors of Christianity, or what we now call Christianity, it was way more inclusive and a bit universal than how it is now, like very exclusive and a lot of fear mongering and like I'm on this side, you're on that side, and all these different denominations that come sprouting about. So I think like for a lot of Black people, it's kind of like if you go to a restaurant and it just takes one time to get bad service and you never want to step in that restaurant again. So I think like with some Black people, even granted the history and the information that we know now concerning how Christianity has been bastardized in America, there are some people when it comes to just that, to think about Christianity, if you know the history of it, they just don't really want nothing to do with it because of that history.
I think Michael. Okay, before y'all finish, hey y'all, let's tap that screen. It's 43 people in this room. Please don't be sitting here watching. Please interact. Tap the screen. Send out gifts to.
Almost at that 10K.
Send out the gifts to me if you want it, or you can send those gifts to the panelists. Do not, and I repeat, do not just be sitting in this room watching me.
You feel me? You can yap, you can tap.
Yes, if you can. They ain't been typing. I'm surprised today, honey. I'll be typing soon. But please tap the screen. Thank y'all. I appreciate y'all. Y'all know I love y'all.
Can I piggyback off of
you can type this. Give me 1 minute. I do want to say that I do have non-believers on one side and believers on the other side. We do have some people in the request, so we'll probably be switching people out in about the next few minutes. I don't have a timer, but I'll think about it. What else? What else I need to say? Okay. Ron, I want to piggyback off something you said in a few. So go ahead. Who was that one? Michael? I don't know. I think it was Michael.
No,
Did you want to
Titan.
respond back to Michael? Ron, and then.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah, because I cut Michael off like before you was. Did you want to say anything, Michael, or?
I just wanted to ask. Okay, I'm actually not looking at my phone. Who was just talking about walking away from the faith?
That was Omnist. Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. I figured that was. So, are you a believer again? Do I have that right?
No. So, what I was saying was that it took me to leave like what we call like bastardized, like the bastardized version of Christianity that what we see today. Like it took me leaving Christianity to recircle back around, and like I had my discovered my own personal like spiritual journey to then like acknowledge and have like a respect for the teachings of Christ and understand that the way that it was pushed on our like my people and them, that's why like most people when it comes to like Black people who leave Christianity or when they like get on like being a spiritualist and stuff like that, it kind of gives them a bad taste in their mouth.
Well, can I comment to that? May I comment on that, please?
Oh yeah, you can go ahead. Okay,
it's unfortunate, my brother, that you had that experience. But I understand where you're coming from. But if I give just a little snippet of my own personal testimony, I joined the church reluctantly, so to speak, or should I say, when I joined the church, I joined as a skeptic. Okay, but at the same time, I knew in my heart that God was calling me to a relationship with him. And so now my situation was a little bit different. So when I came in, I was actually a seeker. I wanted to know who God was because I grew up in a Christian home, and my mother and my father, they were believers. And primarily, I didn't like the church because I didn't like my mom's pastor, my mom and dad's pastor, and it was just something just kind of silly. Because, back in those days, he would come to our house at least twice a month. And so every time he come, you got to cook for the pastor and all that kind of stuff. And anyway, we had a large family. But anyway, long story short, he liked white meat and I like white meat. So Buddy would wind up eating all the breasts and all the wings. So that would be a problem for me. So long story short, when I joined the church, I went on a quest because I wanted to know who God was. It was basically around Black History Month that when they were doing the presentation, the church I went to was the Baptist church, and they were a lot of educated people in that church. So what they did was they put up all the accomplishments of Black people, like Harriet Tubman and all the other ones that we have in the United States. Their pictures was all over the church. And I don't know, I just got an inkling one day in my spirit that something's missing. So I'm trying to figure out what is missing. So I believe that God was giving me that prompt. But anyway, as I start on my own search, right within the context of the church, and I understand what you're saying, that the church has been bastardized. They have watered down things in the church. And it was puzzling to me that, hold up, I thought our history went way back further, way back beyond that. So what I did was I started doing my own research. And if I can give you guys the name of a book, to me, it was one of the most powerful books that I've ever read in my life, and it opened my eyes to a lot of things. And the name of that book is Bible Legacy of the Black Race, The Prophecy Fulfilled. And the author of that book is a lady named Joyce Andrews. Now, when you look that book up, that book is still being sold, but it's very, very expensive. So what I'm saying is this book opened my eyes to a lot of things. So what I found was, and this is the thing that messes Black folks up, when we start looking at the Egyptians and the Ethiopians and all those relics that they have around the world in the major museums, that was us. So we don't know where we come from. So when you think in terms of that, we were the first people. Okay, we were the first people. We started this whole thing. And then came along after that, which is a race of people called the Semitics. And it's right in the Bible. It's in the book of Genesis chapter 10. So if you care to read it, you can read about the Table of Nations. It'll explain it to you. So long story short, I'm going to land my plane soon. So we had Ham, which were black descendants. Ham is the first person that you'll read about in the Bible. Genesis chapter 10 gives you his genealogy. Shem is also there. And then you will find the last character, which is Japheth. And I know it sounds strange because, see, we cannot necessarily, how would I say, explain it scientifically, but then we can't explain God. So how it is that God has one son that is black, one son that is in the middle that is not so black, and then he has one son on the end of it who is Japheth, who is the Caucasian brother, who is white. So if you look at the history, don't take my word for it. We know the world is only about 6,000 years old. So each of those sons, if you trace the history, have had basically 2,000 years to run this planet. Okay, and so now what we're in now is in the time of the Japheth or the Caucasian brother. Okay, so the point I'm trying to make, when it came to all three of those sons, all of them failed at running this planet. All of them came to a point where they reached the pinnacle at the top and then they declined. Ham went to the top, he declined. Shem went to the top, he climbed. And so you're seeing the same thing happening now, okay, with Japheth of the Gentile nations. They're rising to the top. They've reached their peak. And so now what you find, if you pay attention, if you look at, you can just look at the news. All of them are going backwards just like we did. So there's something to be said about that. But the unfortunate thing for us as Black folks, we went to churches where people didn't tell us, people didn't teach us those things. They were more excited about, you know, the shout and the celebration and all that other stuff, but nobody really delved into the word. But if you look at the Bible, the whole entire Old Testament scriptures of the Bible were written by two races of people. That would be Ham and that would be Japheth. And when you get to the New Testament, there's only one Caucasian writer in the whole New Testament canon of scripture, and that would be Luke. And we can prove that. So again, they're not going to tell you that because they don't want you to know where you come from. So once I understood where I came from, it gave me, not necessarily, I don't want to use the word a sense of pride, but I could hold my own, I could stick my chest out because I know who I am and I knew who my ancestors were. So those are the things I think, you know, the church failed to do, especially the Black church when it came to that. They didn't teach us, you know, who we were. And I land my plane.
Absolutely. Hell no. Hell no.
Wait a minute. Wait.
No.
Wait. Hold on. Wait.
Hell to the no.
Okay.
Lena.
Is hell a cuss word?
Nope.
Nope,
Okay.
it's in the Bible, as y'all say.
Well, because you're going to have to send me about 5 coins.
I can't be paying for everybody.
Look, Brown, I pay your debt. But that was the dumbest stuff I've ever heard in my life.
Dread paid for you, Brown.
Let me get a couple of cuss words out.
Yeah. What?
Let me clear my throat.
No,
y'all starting off early.
You're going to send me 10 coins because you want to cuss. So that's 10 coins. Curse word. So, all right, now y'all got up to 13K. I appreciate those taps. But I appreciate it even more if we get to 20K.
Let me give you a rose. I'm sorry, Lena.
No, y'all are good.
Oh, I love
it.
I'm about to let y'all respond right now. I just want
hamburger. No, I had to hold that in the whole time. Hamburger, no. Hamburger and double cheeseburger, lettuce, tomatoes, bacon, onion, all that.
She's putting it all on.
Absolutely
that's a lot
not.
of curse words.
Came in here just flipped over the coffee table. Like,
wait. Hey, is there mayonnaise on this burger?
You talk about sham and 6,000 years.
It was
hamburger, double cheese biscuit.
Wait, Lena, you should have jumped in there and said, "Sir, no."
What did I?
No.
He only said something about fried chicken, and then he said,
no, but the Bible
wanted his
said, "Sir, that's incorrect."
Chicken meat.
As a believer, you should have said, "Sir."
What I should have said? No,
you should have been served. I don't think that's accurate.
Well, he said,
sir.
"No, I'm going. That's why we're here.
It's still here.
I'm still
Heck
here.
no.
Okay.
Heck
Give me one
no.
more minute, y'all. I got y'all. Okay.
Hey, let's
Okay,
keep our
so let's
composure,
get the-
people.
Let's get the 20. Okay, let's get the 30 shares right now, and then
Y'all don't-
20 taps.
I
Please,
done
thank
woke
y'all
up
so
out
much.
my nap.
All right, well,
Right.
go ahead and get up because you talking about, hey, beautiful.
Sound like a
Go
bunch
wake
of
up,
chickens
Nigga,
talking.
that's not for you.
wake up, and then yes, get some coffee
Okay.
and energize yourself. It is Friday, y'all. I
I'll
got
never
it
say
is.
that to you again.
Oh, okay. Well, what you want to say next?
The devil is a liar.
I want to say
Lord have mercy.
to Unc.
Okay,
heck
go ahead, y'all. I'm gonna open
no.
the panel back up. There y'all go. Okay.
We can't. It is 2026. We can't be talking about the earth is 6,000 years old. You are. I'm not even gonna call you old. You are too seasoned to be believing that the earth is 6,000 years old. Too seasoned. The earth is not 6,000 years old. It is not. And Ham and Sheth and Meshach and Abednego, all of them people. No. I don't even know where to start. I'm gonna start with the 6,000 years. We can't be saying in 2026 that the Earth is 6,000 years old. It is not nowhere near 6,000 years old. It's at the very least 4 billion. It's not 6,000. That's number one. And two, the stuff you just said was just categorically false. And thank you. Talking about God had 3 sons, and then one was white and the other one was black. That is like 1972 Bible study indoctrination. We cannot do this. We can't. You can believe in Jesus, okay? Jesus is king, whatever. But please, we got to move forward with this 1972 indoctrination. We can't be talking like this. We cannot. I won't have it. Not in Black History Month. You won't. I won't have it, Unc. I won't have
Make
it.
sure y'all put hold on. Give one watch, man. I'm gonna give you time to respond. Everybody, I'm gonna switch people out.
Can I get salt and ketchup?
Put your
you.
you want to say ketchup?
Okay.
Oh, okay. So my
No.
motto here is if you want
I'm at
to say a curse word, my motto, not motto. Somebody corrected me the other day. My motto here is say hamburger, double cheese, biscuit.
Yep.
You can say all the foods, servings you want. Nobody's gonna know what kind of curse words you're spewing out. But I mean, that's just if you want to curse. Other than that, you're gonna have to pay me 1 cent. And then if you say something really terrible, I have to drop you down. You're gonna have to pay me 5 coins to get back up here. And then if it's really terrible, you're just not coming back up.
She getting that
run
bad
the tight
offering.
ship. You run a tight ship.
Thank y'all so much for tapping on the screen. Y'all are doing amazing. I don't even have to talk to y'all today. That's
tithes and offering right there.
Ain't no tithes and offering. I ain't.
Amen. Jesus
No
can.
tithes and offerings. Just know if you do an uphill cuss, you finna get you to run me your check.
Hey, Lena.
All I said was HE double hockey sticks. I don't think that was that bad.
I sent you a big one earlier, which was $1,000 coins. So I get whatever I want right now.
Wait, what? You sent me a what? I ain't see that.
He sent a galaxy.
What?
You sure did.
I missed that.
Shut your mouth and throw away the ketchup.
Oh, so shoot, he finna cuss. He finna tear it up.
Oh, she finna tear it up. God dang it. God dang
it.
Oh, Lord. Cover your ears, dear Lena. Cover your ears.
So far, lady.
Cover your ears, Lena.
I said you've gotten a Galaxy 3 rose bouquets, plus roses, and 2 dolphins.
Look at you now.
They got money.
Look at
somebody got paid, didn't they?
They got money.
So, but we'll leave that alone for now.
We'll leave that alone for now. He might not be finished. Y'all don't speak too soon. But I'm just kidding. But y'all.
I want to now because I already gave my Galaxy up.
He rich.
But thank you so much, Yusha. I appreciate you I appreciate you so much for just supporting and stuff.
Him rich.
Thank you, love song. Thank God it's Friday. All right, well, y'all go ahead. Now I don't know what y'all were talking about beforehand. I do got some people that's
talking about heck no.
Oh, okay. Well, go ahead.
Jesus had a twin brother.
I've been pretty quiet.
Go ahead.
I'm sorry, Titan. If you want to go, because you and I both.
Titans did want to say something. Go ahead. I'm sorry, Titans. Go ahead. You wanted to say something wrong. I'm so sorry, Titans. You've been so patient. This man got the fruit. It's the fruit. That is fruit right there.
Come on,
And
fruit.
he ain't a believer. Okay, but y'all can do it. You got some patience. Go
He's
ahead.
a believer or non-believer?
No, he's a non-believer, and it's fine.
No.
It's fine. I believe he did
I
get
didn't-
that from
I
the
didn't
belief.
know.
If he was in the belief, let me stop. All right, go ahead, Titan.
Yes,
you
yes. I was a
don't need to
believer
take
at
no
one
more
time.
breaks.
Preacher, son, and grandson.
Much love, son.
Just love the study of theology now and philosophy and all of that. But I was piggybacking off what Omnist said because he was making some good points earlier. And I think it's that a lot of people are still trapped in the artificial construct of race. I know it's something that we all deal with in reality. We have to check these boxes on applications and things like that. But like I said before, we don't apply these terms to people in antiquity. One thing that we can all agree on is that Christianity is an African religion. White people are African as well. White people come from Africa. They don't necessarily derive from Europe.
Wait, you believe in
It's a topic to
evolution?
be, in a sense, I don't necessarily. It's to be studied. It's a topic of debate. I don't want to get too sidetracked.
Okay, go
we
ahead.
could come back around to that. Yeah, we could definitely touch on that topic. But yeah, so I think there's levels of knowledge to it, and depending on who you're talking to, you will get a different response from this. And I also think that it's a phase that a lot of people go through when they're going through their spiritual transformation or spiritual awakening. But I only think it's because I don't want to say lack of knowledge in a way that's insulting, but they're not informed on certain things. I think that sounds better.
Oh, okay. You responded to wrong? Oh, okay. Well, you just was putting it out there. You responded to wrong. Okay. But thank you, Titans. Did you want to respond to what Brown was saying earlier?
No, not.
Well,
I mean, everybody's entitled to their opinion. I just gave you the truth that I know to be true, but I can't tell you to receive, what I know. And I got a simple thing that I always
It's
say.
not true.
Okay, well, listen,
No.
Brown. Listen, Brown. Listen. If you don't believe it, you don't have to.
No.
Okay.
It's not that I don't believe it, Unc. It's simply not true. You are misinformed. Okay. You are very misinformed. Right. And I feel it is my duty during Black History Month to tell you you're misinformed. You can believe in Jesus and God, but Earth 6,000 years, that's where I got to stop you right there.
Well, let me correct. But can I correct that for you before you stop me? Can I correct you before you stop me? May I correct
Go ahead.
So now,
what is it?
So listen. No, see, now you're doing hun. That's being disrespectful.
I say hun.
Oh, I think you say hun. Okay. So look at it like this here. So this is what we do know. So now you can refute this if you want to. My question is, okay, we know the world as we know it at this point in time, presently stated, you can't trace it back no more than 6,000 years as far as mankind is concerned. Am I correct on that? See, now we're not talking about the world as a whole, and that can be explained too. So now my only problem is when you look at the scientific data, so to speak, who calculates that? How do you know that the world is millions of years old? How do you know that? How does anybody know that? Because most of us haven't been on this planet, at the most, maybe on average 80 years. So where do you get this information from, and how is it all compiled? And so what I'm saying is my issue with the whole thing is that, okay, first of all, we put a whole lot of, how would I say, value and trust in what science say. And then science is not necessarily teaching us anything. All science is doing is really catching up with what is already written in the Bible.
Hold on 1 second, Watchman. Jay, I'm gonna drop you right quick, Jay. Now.
So that's my issue with the whole thing. But we can say this, and I think you know that, as far as the world is concerned, recorded time of man right now, it's no more than 6,000 years. That's the truth.
So I think I'll add something to this.
You just made it worse.
I mean, I've been doing like Christian debates for a while, and the age of the planet to me is just the dumbest debate topic ever. Like, who cares? Like, what relevance is it to me? And that's just me personally. There are other people who really study this stuff and actually take a passion into it, so I respect it. But the other thing that he said that I was kind of like, I don't know about that. You said Luke in the Bible was Caucasian. I don't think he was Caucasian, but I think he was a Gentile. You're saying Caucasian in the term of what we know as the Western society. He was a Gentile. There wasn't a thing of Caucasian back then.
That's true.
See, okay, but see now, hold up. I'm just saying that for clarification points, just boiling it down, so you get where I'm coming from.
Okay.
Technically speaking, if you think in terms of Luke, if you think in terms of Cornelius, they were Gentiles. We do know that. So all I'm saying is Caucasian relative to what we would call it today. That's all I'm saying. So that part cannot be refuted.
Can I jump in here, Michael, right quick?
Yeah, go ahead.
So no, actually, you're still off on that, Watchman. So Gentile is anybody that is not a believer or back in them times, not an Israelite. Those are Gentiles, which means nations. It has nothing to do with color and never meant color. It will never mean color today. It just means other nations that were not aligned with Israel. That's it. So today you're adding the word Caucasian because of what happened after the 10 tribes were dispersed. What people haven't done when it comes to studying, and I don't want to go into this too far, but when the tribes were dispersed, there was a lot of people that were brought out into the earth as they knew it back then, out into the mountains where this and this and this and this. That's where a lot of the things had to, and Lena asked earlier about evolution. I kind of very slightly believe in evolution to a certain extent, depending on certain things. But back to what I was saying is that Caucasian or white people came later because of the having to, I'm going to use the word evolve, to be able to deal with the weather back then. So back in when creation time, there was nothing but melanated people, whether you were light, whether you were dark, whatever, because you had to deal with the Middle Eastern weather issues back then. So white folks didn't come along till centuries later. Luke was a Gentile. Cornelius was a Gentile, meaning of another nation, not a part of Israel. So they were not white. There's no proof anywhere in history to say otherwise. So I am definitely going to say you're wrong on that aspect.
Well, listen, you can say I'm wrong. You can say I'm wrong all you want. But see, listen to what I'm saying to you. You just made my point. The point I made was when it came to Ham was the predecessor or the leader of the whole entire human race. One of the things that we cannot refute. See, you can sit on here, you can argue, and you call me up, and you can try to make me feel bad, but you can't because I know what I know.
They're not trying to make you feel bad, though.
Hold up. I'm not. Hey, brother. Hey, let me speak. I'm not here to fight nobody. I'm not trying to fight. I'm just telling you how it went out. I doled out. So again, we go back to the same thing. So one of the things I'm gonna ask you, you challenge me on. You correct me if I'm wrong. Most of your inventions that the world has known, the world is using to this very same day, came out of the mind of a black man. Now, I'm not saying that, and I'm not coming from a place of arrogance or superiority. I'm just saying to you, that is the way God did it. Okay? God put that in us. We laid the foundation for all civilization. The first civilization, as we... Can I finish, brother? See, when you talk, I didn't say nothing.
No, I just said I agree with you.
Oh, okay. Well, so listen to what I'm saying. So we know that to be true. So that's what the brothers brought to the table. Now, we may not like it, but the proof is there. When it comes to, as far as a relationship with God, when God introduces himself to mankind, he does it through the Semitic line. He does it through the Jews. He takes out a man, Abraham, and he begins to explain to Abraham. He begins to carve out a people for himself when it comes to faith or religion, whatever you want to call it. So now when you see Japheth, or I don't want to say this because I don't want to get in trouble. I don't want to say Caucasian. I don't want to say we're gonna say Gentile just for clarification purposes. Just like you say, see, we tell all these stories about men evolving. Men have never evolved. Men have always been who they were. But I understand this to be true. When it comes to power, all power comes from God. So now the white man was put on hold for a reason, because this is his time now. He's only been in power for 2,000 years. So now you can refute that. If you could tell me I'm lying, I'll shut my mouth. All of us on this panel understand and know that's as far as history, that's as far as his history can go. Because he can't go no further. But again, it's not to slight him. It's not to say that he's any less than anybody else. That is just the way God doled it out. So now I understand what I know, and I got it from scripture. So if anybody, I mean, if you dare to look at it, you can check the information out and you'll find out what I'm saying is true. So now you tell me who were those people that built those pyramids, and you tell me that if they did not reign for about 2,000 years on this planet without any rivals. And again, it had nothing to do with them. It had everything to do with God positioning them. When it came to the Semitic line, the accomplishments, the things that they did had nothing to do with them, but how they were positioned by God for those 2,000 years. When it comes to the Gentile nations, Caucasians, whatever you want to call them, it had nothing to do with them. It's that they were positioned by God to do what they're doing, and their time is up. Now you tell me if I'm lying.
You're definitely lying.
Okay, I respect that, man.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if anybody else got something to say. I don't really have anything like, I think it's a waste of time for me to like try to debate him. Unc is gone. He gone. He in the clouds, and I don't think it's no saving him. So
I did have a question for
I'll
him.
let somebody else say something.
Hold on, Watchman.
Yeah,
Hold on. So
was it your?
why do you say that he's like gone instead of
Meaning like he's too far gone in his beliefs? Like it's no debate. Like he's too far into what he believes. It ain't even no point in me.
So is it only because is it only because he's using the Bible?
No,
that has nothing to do with it.
no. I just could tell by his conversation what he believed. That's it. Ain't no conversing. He's too far gone with it. So 6,000 years. There you go.
So
that's all I'm saying. It's like
is
I can tell when I
years
talk
old?
to certain people where it's like I'm not even gonna get nowhere. It's like, yeah, I let them rock.
Caucasian wasn't even in the
Shout out to
Bible. So what does that got to do?
Yeah.
all right. Well, what we'll do. I do want to say something before I forget my train of thought. Ron, are you here?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. So earlier we was talking. Oh, Breezy, what the hamburger is going on with your phone?
He was just asking in the comment, can anybody, if he can hear anybody, and I said, yeah, we're all talking, but that's why he dropped out.
Breezy, you might have to turn your phone off and then come back and I'll say that spot for you.
Breezy, say something.
Something ain't right.
Can you talk?
Yeah, true.
Oh, there we go.
Okay.
So he's good.
Okay. So yeah, Ron, like when we talk about Christianity being forced on our ancestors, I just want to ask you one question. What Bible was they using?
What Bible was they using?
Mm-hmm.
The King James.
King James?
Mm-hmm.
I thought they had their own Bible.
The slave Bible.
Right.
There were parts of places in the Americas where they used the slave Bible. But primarily they were using the King James Bible.
Really?
Yeah, because the slave Bible was put together by the British Empire.
So what was they using at first?
Well, I should say the British colonies. What were they using first?
Mm-hmm.
That's complicated to say because the transatlantic slave trade been happening before even King James was born. So I don't necessarily have the answers to what exactly type of Bible they were using like when the conquistadors and the Portuguese and, when they was going out and doing their stuff. The transatlantic slave trade been going on since like late 1400s to the mid 1500s. You don't really get the King James Bible up until like, I believe 1611, if I'm not wrong. So that's like the 17th century. But there were other Bibles that they had that they were, applying themselves to in terms of what they were indoctrinating the slaves with.
So, what to me? Can you name that Bible? Like, because from what I'm hearing, it was called the slave Bible. Something the slave. What was the other one?
That was actually the name of it. There, it was just the Slave Bible.
Yeah, that's what that's pretty much all I know. But do you know another one?
Do I know another one?
Yeah, like what was they using in the beginning? You don't know? Oh, that's why you say you couldn't really answer that.
Wait, you talking about the beginning of the transatlantic slave trade?
Yeah.
Oh no, I don't know exactly.
Thank you,
I would have to go and do research on that because I actually never thought about that. That's actually a good question, but I know that for the most part, getting into like the 1600s, because one of the first slaves that came to North America was in 1619. But like as far as I know of, like after the Declaration of Independence, that was in 1776. The Bible that they were using on the plantations from there on, to my understanding, came from the King James Bible. The slave Bible that people are referencing to was the book that was created by the British people in the West Indies islands and stuff like that.
And the Bible they were using at the beginning, well, actually, they were using the same Bible at the beginning of the transatlantic slave trade that the conquistadors in Portugal, the Portuguese were using in Africa, the Latin Vulgate. And then before that, it was the Septuagint.
Okay.
The only reason why I asked that question, Ron, was because do you know about the slave Bible?
I know enough about it to like talk about it. I never really had like seen it. I know that the slave Bible was produced in England, if I'm not mistaken, but I do know that the Brits were responsible for creating that book. And I believe that book was being pushed out in the Caribbean islands.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the reason why I asked is because you could just put it in the picture. Reason why I asked is because I'll only look at the slave Bible and see that they had certain scriptures in it where they was like, slaves obey your masters. Like they had a certain agenda, right? They never inputted any scriptures about Moses and freedom and liberation. They didn't have any of that. So when I look at what agenda was behind the transatlantic slavery, I question it because they only had certain scriptures in that Bible. They didn't have nothing about the father freeing the slave. Freeing the Israelites from Egypt. They didn't have anything of the teachings of they didn't have none of these scriptures that was about freedom and liberation. So I just asked you this question because I'm like, you do more of the history background on the slavery, and you saying, when you came into when you were in Christianity, you left it because you found out what happened with your ancestors. You left it like a bad habit. So I just was wondering if you knew anything about the slave Bible, because I believe that they had a certain agenda that they wanted, to do, because in that Bible, there was no scriptures of freedom and liberation whatsoever.
Yeah, like they took majority of the Old Testament out and they took half of the New Testament out, so that when they had like missionaries When people preaching to the slaves and stuff like that, they wouldn't reference back to anything that was in those books. But that came far later on, especially when it was like a lot of rampant like slave rebellions and stuff like that. So in the 19th century, they developed the slave Bible, more so targeted towards the British West Indies islands, because there was a lot of rebellions that were happening, like in Haiti and Jamaica, you know, those different places.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if I stumble across some more questions, I will bring them out. But I just wanted to ask you because I know that's what you were saying earlier, and I just wanted to, you know.
Lena, jump on Google. That's what I just did.
Go ahead, Yahushua.
Jump on Google. Please call me Freedom.
Oh, Freedom.
Yeah.
Oh, can you change your name or something?
No. It's a part of his name.
Yeah,
okay.
the statement is the Freedom.
Is the Freedom. Oh, Freedom. Okay, I got you. I'll try.
Look up Google because I just looked up a lot of what y'all two were talking about, and I found exactly what he just stated. They really just took the publisher was like 1870, I think it said. The publishers put in there like literally just everything about slaves must obey their masters, this, et cetera, nothing to do with anything else.
Yeah, they took out 90% of the Old Testament and 50% of the New Testament.
Don't you find that kind of suspicious?
Well,
yeah, I mean, yeah. They took out all of the things that they would have probably used to, you know, think that they could free themselves and rebel, and
yeah, like we're dealing with a set of people
let's not even add on to that. The other thing that is wild to me, yes, we know that they couldn't read or anything, but when you, and I think that they was able to go to different spots and different places where they can actually have worship. They had to meet up certain places that they can have this kind of worship, that they can have this kind of some type of connection back to the Father was what I know that even for me, I believe that there was Christianity before all of this. We'll say, okay, well, it wasn't Christianity wasn't being practiced, but you got people who was right. I don't know if it's historians who was writing about Christianity, and I gotta go look into historians. But that's not nothing new. Like this has been the original thing, and yes, people was doing things before all of this, right? But me personally, I just don't believe that any of that it was anything true to that. I mean, that's a whole nother conversation, another pack of like worms, right? But to be honest, I just don't. For me, I got you, last time. Give me 1 minute. For me, when I look at the agenda behind what was going on, and them having certain scriptures, that just rings a bell for me. I really can't get my mind from that.
Rings a bell, as in what?
It just I'm saying like it don't. It's not. All I'm saying is I feel like there were scriptures that they left out that could have gave the slaves hope. That's what I'm saying. Yes.
Well, here's the thing, Lena. Two things actually. We have a troller down below that's getting very annoying. If one of y'all can take care of him.
Who's that? What number is it? Oh, okay. Got it. Thank you. My mods. I don't know. I think I need to just, maybe I should confiscate some mod powers today.
Confiscate is crazy.
Yeah.
So actually, I want to
thank you, Freedom.
I've been tapping.
Three things actually. Then I got to go back to work because I'm on lunch break.
Okay.
The reason why they specifically put just certain verses in there is because one, they wanted them to say, okay, this is really what it's about. They wanted to make them back then believe that this is what the Bible is. This is what the Bible actually
and this
says.
Is what he condones type stuff.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly. And that's the reason why that was specifically put in there. It wasn't for any other reason. They didn't want them to be free. They didn't want that at all.
Spiritually, either. Yeah.
Well, that even to say that, when I just Googled a second ago, it even says something about spiritually slaves. So there's a lot of scriptures in there that just spiritual, physical, all this. They just wanted to keep them in that grind. I told you I gotta go back to work. My alarm.
Oh, you okay? You okay?
My alarm just went off. But anyway, so they wanted to keep them in that factor of fear that, okay, we can't go nowhere. There's nothing that can help us, et cetera, that the Father's not going to be able to help us, nothing. So when they made this, we're going to make it to keep them in that fear, to say that y'all can't go anywhere, that your God, forgive me, guys, I don't use the word, that the Father will not help you, that you are going to be stuck here permanently. Whereas if I now I'm going to say me because it's going to help me to explain it. So if I were to put these helpful scriptures in here, they're going to start reading these scriptures and they're going to get in their mind, oh, I can be free. I can do this. I can rebel against my masters if my masters are treating me wrong, et cetera, because that's what the scriptures teach. If your master is teaching you or doing something wrong to you, you have a right to do something or figure out a way to get out of it. Paraphrasing.
Wait, so what scripture that is? Hold on.
I would have to go back in the Torah to actually find out. I don't have my scriptures with me, but there is, if you get into the Torah aspect of things, Old Testament for some people, you will see these things. So, and second and third of all, I got to hurry up here. Second of all, there was no Christianity back then. Christianity didn't start until Constantine. If you actually get into the New Testament or the scriptures in the New Testament, Saul, Paul, however you want to use it, he was called a leader of the sect of the Nazarene, not the leader of the sect of the Christians. Second of all, there was two Peters back then. Peter, our Peter that we know, the disciple Peter. There was also another Peter. Now, this is a history-based thing. Y'all would have to study this, look this up. So if you actually get into Acts, when Peter, the magician is what he's called, Kepha the magician, he came to Bartholomew and Paul and tried to buy the Ruach, this Holy Spirit, to get the power. Now, what happened is he took what he knew from Paul and Bartholomew, all the teachings, because he was there day in and day out with them. He really knew the Bible. He took his system of belief, brought it to Rome. And that's how you have the Roman Catholicistic Church, or Christianity in parentheses, as we have today. Because the real teachings of Christianity, the true Christianity teachings, has nothing to do with what we have today. Now, I love you, sis. I'm going to get out of here because I got to go to work.
Okay, I appreciate you for stopping by. I appreciate you so much.
I have fun with you, so I will be I'm going to stay here in the comments, but I'm going to be just drop down.
Oh, boy.
Okay, no problem. Thank you so much. Love sign, you all right? You okay?
Yeah, I didn't know my mic.
Out soon.
No, I was yawning. I didn't know my mic was on. I'm sorry.
No, you're fine. I know I have, let's see. Okay.
Can I add some context?
Yeah, you can. Yeah, you can.
I was going. I can't remember.
Yeah.
Love song was trying to say something. Give me 1 minute. Watch.
Oh, go ahead.
No, but what I was about to say is, going back, I guess, piggyback and forth. It's like we're the only people that truly fear God, and because how can people manipulate scripture, do whatever they want to do, and not feel that there's any wrongdoing? I think people, I won't say people of color, have been sold this religion. And is it white? It is, because I can't see anything else. Like, I'm just listening to people and trying to figure out the scriptures, trying to figure out the Bible. To me, it just really, really doesn't make sense that if people know that there was a slave Bible, because I remember there was a book, How to Make a Negro a Christian, and you see these things, and the people that are doing it do not look like you, and yet people still want to follow it and just say that it's okay. But I feel like you're trying to figure out the book, which I do too. I just like to read it for just entertainment purposes. But still, it's like, well, a lot of people, whatever happened to us, just brush it off their shoulders and keep going. And I'm trying to figure out, how could that happen?
I think my question.
If I could say,
go ahead. But go ahead.
Well, Dre, I know for a fact you ain't coming up that might say anything without
my bad, Lena, my bad.
Absolutely not. So go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hey, Dre. I'm a non-believer. Was raised by the bishop, former believer, but yeah, I'm a non-believer. And as far as the prompt, I used to definitely say it was a white man's religion, but now I'm at a point where I don't care what color the person is, right? It could be a black man's religion, it could be a brown man's religion, it could be a white man's religion. My whole thing is, it does not seem to be true, and I just don't see any reason to cling to anything that is not true. Now. Lena, you heard me say it before, if it gives you, peace of mind and things like that, albeit, my issue really always just comes into play when people are using their religion to dictate and make rules on people's lives. But whoever's religion it is, I just don't, I just would like people to believe in true things. Like we have, if I'm not mistaken, I can't remember who it was earlier, but we had somebody in the panel talking about the earth only being 6,000 years old. And it's these are things, wow, again, you are well within your right to practice your belief and, all power to you. I just would like for it not to be a tool used to just allow people to just believe whatever they see fit, right? Because we have concrete evidence that it's definitely not 6,000. You know what I'm saying? It's definitely not 6,000 years old. Does it make sense?
All right. Oh, thank you, Dred. Let me see. Did you you was trying to say something about the last conversation, or because I don't know, kind of piggyback off of something before you was trying to come in and just start talking. Breezy. I forgot about Breezy. Go ahead first, and then I'll let Breezy answer. Give his statement. Whatever he want to say to the prompt.
You talking to me, right?
Remember? Do you remember or no? I know you don't remember.
Yeah, no, my whole point was again, I don't care what color the religion comes from. I really don't. I would just like people to believe true things. And I was explaining earlier how, we have people who will argue about flat earth and ignore, science, in the same way that we have people who will argue about this, that, and the third and ignore science, or, you know what I'm saying? And so I support your right to believe whatever you choose to believe, but I don't support the right of any believer, not just Christians, to either, force or push their beliefs in public. But I also don't, I would hope that your, belief doesn't cause you, as I mentioned earlier, there was somebody speaking about the 6,000 years old, and that was the comment I was piggybacking off of.
Oh, okay. Did you do that already?
You go, Boogie.
Oh, you call me a booby?
No, Bookie. I say
Bookie is right.
I say Bookie a lot, Lena. I say Bookie a lot. Don't do this to me.
Oh my goodness.
Don't do this to me. You want me to send you a rose?
No.
He didn't call you Bookie.
Oh yeah, she don't like that. She don't like that word.
I don't like shawty. I don't like none of that.
Would you? Okay, all right. I'm gonna check.
You'd be original.
Mm-hmm. All right. I'm gonna think of something.
Woman of God.
Woman of God. Woman of the Father and the
woman of the
title.
The Father, the Son, and the Holy. I got you.
Tap the screen. Everybody tap on the screen. I appreciate all of y'all in here. And share out the live. We only had 15 shares, y'all. Y'all did amazing. I mean, we had 27K. I know we can do better than that. And make sure that y'all are sending gifts out to the wonderful panelists that are up here having a conversation about this topic. My baby in the background.
My friends.
All right. So, okay, what am I about to say? Breezy, go ahead. If you want to say anything about the prompt, you can. Or you too feel.
Breezy gonna say it's stupid. That's his favorite
Oh,
line.
dang. Nah, he only do that the wrong prompt.
Yeah, but my presupposition.
Oh, his thing not working? It must not be working. Thank y'all so much for the gifts.
You gotta go back to the bathroom.
He probably just got to drop and then come back up. We'll save your spot.
Ain't got complications. We have to donate to get him some new headphones or something.
Oh my gosh. You know what? Yeah, so did anybody else want to just chime in while we wait on Breezy? Y'all, anything y'all was hearing? Y'all can.
I just want to comment on the slave piece.
Yeah, definitely you can. Mm-hmm.
In the slave Bible. Yeah, we know.
Yeah, definitely do y'all research on that. Like, this is like some things for me, it just don't add up. But you know, I don't know.
Yeah, people did do things like that, and to use the Bible. You know, I see. Like I said, I grew up in the church, and I've been in the church now for a minute, so I do know that people can take scripture and manipulate the Bible, but at the same time, we cannot. I don't think it's fair to lump all Christians in the same basket. Just because a person used that as a title, that does not mean that they subscribe to everything that is in the Bible. So now when it comes to that slave piece, what people fail to understand, that was basically written to Israel because they had slaves. They had slaves.
Okay, no, can y'all hear me?
About to talk about slavery.
No, I said, can y'all hear me?
Look at that. We can hear you, Breezy.
Can y'all hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yes, we can hear you, love.
Oh, my bad, because I don't have no blue box on my side. Okay, go ahead. I'm so sorry for being rude.
Go ahead, Go ahead.
Yeah, I just wanted to say that
wait, somebody hold on, give me 1 minute. Yes, Freedom, what you need? I don't know. Are you trying to get my attention in the comments? Type it out. I don't know. Go ahead, Mark.
Yeah, but I was just saying that slavery was a part of Israeli culture. When a person had a debt that they could not pay, they actually had to go and be in servitude until they paid that debt off. And so they had also what they called was the Jubilee system, which was the period of time between 50 years. So for example, if it's just say it's 2026, and I got into a debt I could not pay, but then I had to work that off. Okay, maybe that time period, they could have stretched it out from 2026 to 2050. But now once 2050 hit, which would have been a 50-year period between 2000 and 2050, but then at that point in time, they would have to release me from that slavery if I sold my property or land, okay, toward that slavery that I was in to pay that debt off. They could use my property and my land until that time was up. Once the 50 years was up, all that had to be returned back, okay, to the owner of that land. So that way they had no hoarding in Israel. Nobody can go like they do here in this country where everybody just steal, take and amass land and just, have abundance of wealth. It was not like that in Israel, and it's pretty much like that to this day. So slavery was a part of their system. So what they did was the slavers, they took that text out of context and put it in there, okay, to control slaves. Now, but that was their doing. But again, we cannot say that that's anything wrong with the Bible. That's just the way they use the Bible, to control people.
Wait, watch. So the system you're talking about.
So if it was used as a tool of control, there's something wrong with it.
What's wrong with it? I'm not validating it. I'm not saying that it's right.
But you still follow it.
The system.
Okay, can I finish? Yeah, I follow.
I mean, it wasn't. I mean, is this an open panel or not, or we just chilling?
I think we got to get the Breezy first.
Oh, my bad, Breezy. Go ahead.
What you got to get the Breezy for?
To answer the
prompt. She was asking you about the prompt and your thing was acting up.
Abraham and fake Christianity is not white man. It's not, but a lot of people practice the white man's version of this religion. I'm gonna leave it at that.
All right.
I just I'm sorry, Ron, you were saying something?
No, I was just saying we can go back to open panel now.
Oh, I was just going to clarify that the Jubilee system Walsh was talking about is a 7-year period. After the year of Jubilee, you have to free a slave, and then the woman, if she's an Israelite woman that was sold, she stays, because typically they were made into concubines and belonged to the master because that was his wife / slave. And then if you go a little further down that same scripture, that same chapter, I believe, it talks specifically about chattel slavery, which is what the church, the Pope, gave the green light and sanctioned. And that the verses there, and I don't really care to go too much into detail about slavery on this particular panel because that's not really what the subject is about, I guess. But I just want to correct the misinformation. So it's the year of Jubilee, and then the next verse says, the next verse says, but your male and female slaves who you are permitted to have are to come from nations around you, or people who live amongst you who are not Israelites. You can make slaves of them, you can pass them to your children, and they'll be your slaves for life, but you cannot rule over Israelites with rigor. So they didn't have to twist it. It was there. Now, do I believe, all Christians have that viewpoint and think slavery is okay? Absolutely not. But the reality is, as you guys said, it was in the book and they were able to weaponize it and use it to get whatever outcome they wanted to.
They could do that with anything though, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm not saying they couldn't, Breezy. I'm saying that, but I'm saying what Watch said was not accurate.
So Greg, where did you get your information from? Did you get that from the Bible?
Yeah, it's in the book.
From the Bible?
That's Leviticus 25, 44 through 47 talks specifically about chattel slavery. Right before that, it talks about the year of Jubilee.
So what does Jubilee mean?
Sir, what do you know what Jubilee means, Watchman?
I do.
Well, what is it?
50.
50 what? What?
50 years.
50 years of what? Because I don't know. I'm not a believer, so I want to know, what does that symbolize?
It's a 50-year period. And after the 50th year of Jubilee, all land, all slaves that were sold to servitude had to be released and go back to its original owner.
Did that happen are we talking about states-wise, or are we talking about European? Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, we're not talking about in America. Okay. We're talking about how the colonizers with the slave Bible, put that in there, but they took it out of context because that was reference to Israel, and they used it to control slaves.
But what I'm saying to you, Watch, is essentially, right? And again, I don't really care to dig too deep into the topic of slavery, right? I'm not denying that there is a verse about the year of Jubilee. I'm not denying that at all, right? What I'm saying is what follows immediately after that verse in Leviticus 25, 44 through 47, it says, however, or but your male and female slaves who you are permitted to have, right? You are permitted to have these slaves. They need to come from nations around you. Or you can grab a slave from the people among you who live among you, but they are not a part of your nation. They are not your neighbors. They are not Israelites, right? You can make slaves of them. You can pass them down to your children, and you can make them slaves for life. That is all I'm saying. Whether you want to argue it's 50 years, 100 years, 200 years, 7 years, 5 days, I don't care, right? I'm saying that, yes, the year of Jubilee is written about, right? But the next verse literally says it is perfectly okay to take foreigners and make them slaves for life. There is no need to rewrite the year of Jubilee to kind of twist it so that you can get the chattel slave trade that we had here in America, right? I'm saying that they used the verse that was already there that made it okay to go grab foreigners.
Can I ask him a question?
Well, listen, I'm not here.
Okay, so Dred. Yeah. So
did God not know that it was immoral?
Titus, you have. Go ahead, Titan. I'll go after you.
I wanted to ask Watchman. Did God not know it was immoral to have slaves?
did God not know it was immoral? I mean, to me, I don't get your question, Titan.
Basically, he's asking, did God know it was wrong to have slaves?
Hold up, Michael. Me and him having a conversation. I think we can hash this out. We grown men. I'm not trying to be disrespectful. So when you say, did not God know it was immoral to have slaves? Okay, that question kind of puzzles me. Because see, at the same time, okay, for example, no, I'm gonna ask you this. So, for example, what about in life? Just say life per se. If somebody did an injustice to you from a natural perspective, because basically you're on the other side of the panel, so I would just conclude that you're not a believer. Okay, but if somebody came for Titan and did something to you or disrespected you in a way, do you not think that there would be some retribution on your part?
So you're not going to answer my question. You're going to actually pose me.
I'm asking. Okay. Let me answer for you then. Let me answer for you. One thing I do know, and I can just believe this is true. If I came for you in an aggressive way, or I did something that was disrespectful to you, you would retaliate against me. I just believe that's safe to conclude. Okay, I'm just gonna go on a limb. I'm gonna go way out on a limb and say that's reality. So when you think in terms of the way you asked the question about slavery being immoral, I do believe this. Okay, and this is I'm gonna throw this out there for you. Now you guys can do what you want to do with this. And you can refute it all day.
Do you not believe slavery is immoral? I'll ask you a different question since you're having trouble with the first one.
That's a loaded question.
Yes, I think. Hold up. I think slavery is. Let me explain it to you this way. Come on, Breezy. Can y'all please be quiet? If you have something
been talking for a grip.
You ain't. Uncle, you haven't said any.
Listen.
I'm bored right now because you haven't said any. And I'm not trying to be rude, but like,
All right,
okay,
well, listen. It's been nice. I'll see y'all guys later. Y'all can have y'all conversation, man. Y'all have a great day. I love the conversation. Y'all be good.
Ran you off the panel?
You so sensitive, God.
Buddy, he's asking you a direct question, and you're not answering.
Now I'm Buddy.
But
what do you want me to call you?
No, he's just.
I want you to call me by my name.
He's just
I call you Michael. I didn't call you Michelle.
Now see,
okay,
you
the same thing. I'm not even looking at my phone right now, so I can't look at your name. Well, I didn't know Buddy. I didn't know Buddy was an offensive term in 2026.
Hey, I didn't know either, Michael.
It ain't going nowhere.
Like,
okay, well let me ask a tight question there. Y'all pipe down.
I'm grown, sir.
I think we're waiting on you to answer his question.
Love, I'm not talking to you. I would never
Yes,
trust a lady like
I
that.
resent the fact you keep asking me questions and refuse to answer.
Can I answer?
And I'm a believer. Like,
you ain't said nothing but slavery, jubilee, and 6,000 years. That's it. God, no.
Jubilee.
That's kind of why I didn't really want to get too deep into the topic. I just wanted to correct
the only thing
what was
y'all
said.
even talking about.
Right.
I'm sorry, I'm rude. I don't mean to be rude, but it's like the room is just
it's back to Breezy's point. He has been talking for a little bit.
Yeah, it's slow. Like it ain't going nowhere.
I agree.
Like this is why you follow this stuff. You're just in a state of stagnation. It's not going anywhere, and everything is okay. Thank you, golly. Get some grown.
I don't know why we always bring it back to slavery though.
Oh,
because this is what
hold on, y'all. Give me 1 minute. Hold on, y'all.
Prompting.
1 second. 1 second. Okay,
that's all God can do.
Love.
I'm sorry.
Was my question too powerful for her? Is that what happened?
I mean, I'm a Christian. I'm a believer. And even he was
everybody, I'm speaking. Yes, thank you. All right, so Tiffany's on here.
Hello.
Hi, Tiffany. Welcome.
Tiffy.
Hey y'all.
Let me see. Who else dropped? That was Love. It's Watch Fault.
That was Brown.
Very late to the conversation. You had to go. Okay, no problem, Love. Yeah. So I think this conversation is really, really good. It's amazing. So let's continue the conversation. Tiffany, did you want to come in say anything about the prompt?
She can introduce herself.
Oh yeah, introduce yourself and
Hello, y'all. I hope everybody's doing well.
You're doing terrible.
Hold on, Jay. I got
you funny, bro.
I mean, if I was an Omnist too, I'd do terrible.
Okay, Breezy. Not today.
Honest.
Hey, Lena, can I tell everybody to tap the screen before Tiffany goes?
Yeah, let's get the
that's
40K.
fine.
Okay, everybody
Yeah,
tap the screen. Tap the screen. 40.
You finna
Let's
get
get the
drop,
45K, huh?
It's been
You said you
30.
finna get to drop?
No. I was saying I was gonna answer it.
No, I was just trying to
and tap the screen.
Yeah. There's 31 people in here, 32,000. Y'all could do so much better. I mean, I know it was slow, but now we get ready to pump up the volume because 50 is here. So everybody, let's keep going. But y'all go ahead. It's about to get lit. Y'all go ahead and let's get it popping. Don't watch. Tap. Don't watch.
Don't watch.
Let's go. Come on.
Yeah, and I wanted to say something what Dred was saying, because these scriptures that y'all bringing up, it's very important that we know that these people were also around slaves. Like slavery was already happening. You know, that wasn't something new. I believe that under the care and protection of the Father is what was going on. It was not condoning none of that. So to sit here and loosely, right? That is for me. That just yeah.
Yeah, I was honestly, Lena, I wasn't even, like I said, I wasn't trying to get too deep into the verse. I was just trying to explain that, because I definitely agree with what y'all said, right? Y'all were talking about how the slave Bible was manipulated and things were taken out. What Watch said was essentially that he thought that they were using the year of Jubilee to justify chattel slavery. And I was just basically explaining that there is the verse about the year of Jubilee, but right next to it is the verse about chattel slavery. So they didn't have to use the year of Jubilee to justify chattel slavery in America. Whether, you know what I'm saying, whether we believe God was regulating something or whatever the case may be, that's not my point. It was more so just that there was a verse that already said, you know, we could do chattel slavery, and that these people read that verse, used it, and then did what they did.
And I think I would also, or Lena, can I jump in? Lena?
She muted.
Oh, okay. I would also argue, because I think your main point was to the guy, I can't even know his name, but apparently Buddy was offensive. I think your main point to him was there didn't need to be a process of manipulation because the verse was there, right?
Right. Like, because again, it doesn't have to be us manipulating the year of Jubilee scripture. We can just take that part out and leave the chattel slavery scripture right there. And we can just use that.
Yeah, the Jubilee wasn't even necessary to be involved. But I would argue that if they're going to take the Bible, right, and they're going to take out verses that actually show what the process was to end slavery, I would argue that is a form of manipulation. Now, I agree with you. The verse is there. It's easy to just take it because it's sitting there, right? But I would also argue that is a form of manipulation when you take out verses so that way they don't read and say, oh, wait, but later on, Jesus says there is no Jew nor Gentile nor slave, and they take that out of the Bible. I would argue that is a form of manipulation.
I guess my issue with it, and Rome, Breezy, you know what I'm saying? I know we talk about this a lot, but I guess my issue essentially with it is that I don't see a direct scripture that kind of leads me to believe that there is anything wrong. Like I understand why I think slavery is wrong, right? Yeah. But I don't see a direct scripture as direct as, you know, you can get your slaves from other nations, or, you know, slave masters be kind to your slaves, and, you know, slaves be, you know, kind to your earthly master, or obey your earthly master even if he's harsh. And like, I don't see a direct quote that says something like, hey, slaves, here's how to get out of slavery. You get what I'm saying? While I think, you know what I'm saying? While I think throughout the text, you know, depending on how you interpret it and how you engage with it, I'm sure there is some people who will argue, you know, it's there, right? But yeah, I would say as far as the manipulation process goes, again, I was just saying that you didn't necessarily have to manipulate the year of Jubilee. Like that didn't need to be touched.
Yeah, I would also, because again, I'm with you on what you're saying, honestly, because you're hitting it on the head because it's there. And I also get the impression that you're somebody who likes direct communication. You like to be told exactly X, Y, and Z. That way it's planned out perfectly and understandably.
Well,
and go ahead.
I'm more so just like if I see, you know what I'm saying, I'm not necessarily direct, it could be direct, but also like I'm pretty literate and I can engage with certain things. I think more so it just to me was off where it's like, here's how to directly do this bad thing. And again, I understand, you know, different contexts and different interpretations.
For sure.
So I'm not really judging when I say this, I'm not saying it to judge the morality of this particular deity. I'm just saying it to say it.
Okay.
But here's how to do this one particular thing, but you don't get a verse where it says, here's how to get out of this particular. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
it's more so hidden in the text. Does it?
So instead, you're looking for, well, not necessarily looking for. You're saying that there is not a description of any verse in the Bible that says, here's how to get out of this. Instead, it's a long-winded, drawn-out process, right? And it's kind of like a puzzle. You kind of got to pick it apart, and sometimes it can be very confusing. Okay, yeah. So we're on the same page. Yeah, it's really just on how someone, I guess you could say, understands it. And even when you go to the scholar level, I mean, even if you go to atheist or agnostic scholars, even they have a consensus that, you know, there was a process in the Bible. And again, like you said, there's not a certain hammer, nail on the head, X, Y, and Z descriptive verse. But instead, there was a drawn-out process over how many years? 400 years, how to get out of this. And you know, if that's your critique, you know, I respect it. I respect it.
All right. So thank y'all so much for getting us to 34K. Let me at least get to 40K. Y'all don't mind. Conversation is going good. Tiffany, you did answer the part, right?
I didn't get to. I just wanted to say that Christianity is. I agree with the prompt because Christianity didn't start in Europe. Christianity started in the Middle East, so it wasn't started by Europeans.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah, that's it.
Thank you. Freedom, did you want to come back up and say something? I see you back up here. Freedom.
I am at work, so you have to give me a few minutes. So if I can't answer you right away, that's the reason why. So hold on, okay?
Okay. All right. Let's see.
Wait, is Tiffany a believer?
Yeah, Tiffany a believer.
Yeah, Tiffany a believer. Yeah.
You were saying something, Breezy?
You say that?
Oh, okay.
Somebody call my name?
No love song.
Oh no, I was in the back there. All right, Lena.
Yes. So, seeing the imagery of the practices, because somebody was saying teachings earlier, that what Michael had said earlier. Seeing these things and the way that they tried to portray the belief, it's already a false imagery, and I don't want to try to make it seem like it's, you know, a racial thing or whatever like that. But due to the transatlantic slavery, it will come off like that. It will look like that. It will seem like that. Will anybody take anything that is holy or anything that has this original take and try to do whatever they want to do with it? I think that people do that, and people still do that today. That's just with anything, you know. So people could take its regular meaning that something that had its own meaning and make it into whatever they want to make it out of. And I don't agree with that, you know. So
I would just I think for me, like again, I like I said earlier, I think somebody set it up here. When Wes was talking, I think that was his name. But we were talking about how like race as we know it in the 21st century, that was not a construct back then, right? So it's hard to place a racial demographic in the Bible, right? It's just, you can't do it because race is just something we made up. While skin tone is real, while ethnicity is real, you know, there are people who, you know, may not look like me, but be considered Black because of their phenotypical features. So with that being said, like I said, I don't think it's a white man's religion, but to touch on what Lena said, as far as like people, and Breezy has said this too, where people can basically extrapolate things or take things out of a book or take things that they believe in and weaponize it and use it and be as justification. I definitely agree, right? I definitely agree that can happen with almost anything. I think the problem here is that if I take, for example, a book off my bookshelf, right? Or, you know, I go to my little cousin's house and maybe grab one of his books, and, you know, it's a Sesame Street book, versus I grab the Quran, or I grab the Torah, or I grab the Bible or some other religious text. While I think some believers have one interpretation, because we always talk about different interpretations of the text, I think some believers see this and say, hey, this was just what was happening historically. I think others believe, hey, this is allegorical. I think others believe this was literal, et cetera, et cetera. The problem for me is if I were to take this Sesame Street book that I got from my cousin's bookshelf and said, well, this is justification for me, you know, taking slaves, they would look at they would look at what I'm reading and say, there's no way you got this from this text. Now, if I take the Quran and say the same thing, and they, you know, turn to this verse where it talks about, you know, this God saying slavery is acceptable in some way, shape, or form in certain contexts, they could at the very least understand where I'm getting it from. Does that make sense? Like, again, I do understand not all people are going to, you know, agree and believe these things, but I think the fact that it's there kind of is where the problems start. Am I making sense?
Yeah, can I jump in real quick?
Yeah, I get you.
Go ahead, Lil.
But once I think that the saddest thing that we always referring to is slavery when it comes to Black people. I've never been into a predominantly white group, and this discussion is ever brought up. But it seems like in Black spaces, we always have to bring up slavery every single time. So I do think that this is a problem for the Black community because, well, I don't say Black, I'm not speaking for everybody. I'll speak just for me. Why is it that this is the only thing that we have to look back on and have to say something was wrong was this? Other spaces that don't look like us do not talk about this. They don't even bring it up.
That's true.
Can I respond to you, love?
But you got it. But we will sit here and do this all day and all night. And nobody, because you know what? I had a group of, it wasn't a group, it was two JWs came to my door. They were white. They came to my door. And I can't remember what they said, but the only thing I said to him, I said was, where, I'm a Black woman, of course. I said, where was God 400 years for my people? Only thing they did was their eyebrows got big, they closed their mouths and they walked away. There wasn't a debate. They couldn't say nothing to me because they had no answer. If this religion or whatever, I have to say for me, doesn't reflect or can't help people that look like me, regardless of, I'm just speaking for the states. I'm just speaking for the states. I don't care where it came from. Then this is a problem. And why would I not worship this? Because I can't. I don't see anything good coming out of it. I don't see anything good coming out of the teachings of this. And I mean, it has made everybody afraid of anything that looks like you. And is it a tool of separation? Is it a tool of mental paralysis at some point? Of course. This is an easy tool to use. To no matter what you do, they gotta scare you to go to hell, because after every altar call, you're going to hell. And it's so easy to trick the mind. But go ahead.
I think.
Well, I agree with most of the latter part of your statement. It was the beginning part. I actually agree with that as well. I don't really like the woe is me mentality or over harping on what happened. It's definitely very important. It's something that
but that's a problem because that's the only reflection of God that we can resonate the most with. with being hurt. Nobody comes up here and says how good God is and he really did anything. Because if you would take out the slavery part of it, there would not be, in my opinion, any kind of rejoicing or giving God some kind of glory. Because
are you saying that from the non-believers' point of view? Because
I'm
that's
looking at
pretty
this
much
from
the only people who talks about slavery is the non-believers. The only people who have a contention with what it is anything to do with slavery, X, Y, and Z is people who do not believe one. And if you do get a perspective from a believer, right, it's like, no, that's not the case. And then you continue to make your own narrative of what it is. And I think that is,
I just want to land my plane real
it's
quick.
wrong. That's the part. It's wrong.
But
and if you serve a God that
hold
never
on, Tyson,
said
because
that it was
Love Song ended up cutting you off, and then that's when, you know, let her, I guess, finish, because she's like, you know, I know you was in the middle of a sentence, Titan.
Because what I was saying is, if you're coming from a believer standpoint, it's okay. God just had to do what he had to do. I'm a non-believer, but
that's not how we. Listen,
Lena, you asked me a question about how I felt, but this is how I see it from my eyes. This is my view. I'm going to give you Love's view. I don't care if I'm a believer or not. This is my view. Sometimes people, and this is in the Black church, it was in God's time, it was in God's will. But people that look like me at times, we always have to be in the will of suffering, and it's okay. Because that's why I say God is going to look different from people's eyes. If you're YT at times, you don't even have to disagree with that it was wrong, because it didn't happen to you no way. So it really doesn't matter. But I say, but however it goes, at times conversations amongst Black people and this God, so to speak, should, in my eyes, should sound a little different at times. Because I think the slavery is almost a go-to or a piggyback in some conversations. But that's it.
And that's what I wanted to respond to. Because you said specifically, when you go to other spaces, you don't hear these conversations. And it's not the case on the college campuses that I'm on having these discussions, or anywhere that we are. In the context of the conversation and in anybody deconstructing, morality in the Bible is a big issue. And for a lot of people who find that they have a higher moral compass than the God they're supposed to be serving, it becomes an issue. And every time you're going to talk about morality, you're going to have to tackle these topics. We can't not talk about them because it makes some people feel uncomfortable, as I'm assuming you feel right now about hearing this whole discussion. But back to you. You got the floor.
No, but this is what I'm saying is, I'm saying amongst YT people, that's what I'm saying. Uncomfortable or not, people, if this is the same God, it doesn't matter. God is not going to change. I've never really heard anybody say, I oppose to what happened. God was wrong for letting those happen to those people. Nobody has ever said that. You know what? He said he didn't stand up and make nobody a slave. It doesn't matter who you, it doesn't matter the race of people. It's slavery in general, servants in general. They never address that, ever. That's not even a topic of discussion. Ever.
I mean, the phones that we're on right now were made by child slaves in the Congo. So somebody could come on here and make the argument that we're somehow complacent in slavery because the phones that we're on right now, a little child was beat so that we could be on and communicating on TikTok. Because the truth is, slavery still exists today. So they have, like, in prison, right? People that commit heinous crimes, they are, when they go to prison, they're in a form of slavery, right? And that's why I gave the phone and the device example. We have iPads, MacBooks, iPhones. Who do you think is making these things, right? When you look at the Bible, right? If I go into office, right? If I'm a politician, right? And I go into office and I see that there is a system in place, I'm going to put regulations and laws to move the community towards the way I think things should be ran and away from their economic system. But can I change everything in one whole and just a snap of the finger without collapsing their whole economic system? No, because at the end of the day, even today, even for you to be talking to me right now, slavery happened.
I think sometimes, and this is coming from the perspective of a non-believer. I think sometimes I do find it interesting. It seems like believers, in order to kind of justify things that don't sit right with them, and I think let me preface this. I think it happens because in your heart of hearts, these things don't sit right with you. And so you have to, because you believe this God to be all good and things of that nature, you kind of have to juggle with what's happening. Right. And so I do think that speaks to, your humanism, right? I think you see these things as inherently wrong, which you should. But I think sometimes we limit the power of this all powerful God. Right. To say that, these things couldn't have been stopped without completely toppling another nation's economy or whatever have you would limit the ability of the God that was able to speak the world into existence. You know what I'm saying? Like, even with your example, as if you had this position of power and you saw, slavery and all these things happening. Yes, you would have to not regulate, but you would have to put certain laws into effect, and things happen gradually over time. But we're human beings, right? There are things that we see where people in position of power can make quote unquote executive orders and have things stop. And like the Department of Education was gutted in less than a blink of an eye. So while human beings are not all powerful, I do think sometimes we tend to, when I say we, I'm talking about just humans in general, we tend to limit the powers of this all-powerful God, because I believe, like, he freed Israelites out of Egypt. He didn't care that it would topple their economy. He didn't care that, that they used slavery to make money and all these things. He did not care. He put an end to it. There were cities where, they were sinning, and he wiped them out completely. He didn't care what was happening at the time. So I think to a degree, I just think, this particular God can, if he wanted to, essentially, end slavery without it toppling an economy, without, because again, he is all powerful. He can find ways around these things.
Well, that's why I was trying to finish, because it says in the Bible that slave traders are equal to murderers. And it also says that one of the utmost commandments is to love your neighbor as you would love yourself. That's the fulfilling of the law and the prophets. So the Bible doesn't endorse slavery the way that people assume, because when people hear slavery, they usually think of the race-based chattel slavery like they had in the Americas. When you look in Exodus and Leviticus, that is not the same system. So the differences was that when you were kidnapping someone into slavery, that was punishable by death. That's Exodus 21:16. And many servants at that time were working off debt. So they were literally putting themselves into indentured servitude. Then when you look at Leviticus 25, they literally had laws on being released. God literally put laws in place to where slavery would not be a permanent thing anymore. And then if you were to abuse your slave, because God said the master and the slave were supposed to be seen as equal, that was deemed radical at the time, because slavery was an economic institution. That means that these people were doing it, putting themselves into it to pay off debts. So God was putting restrictions and humanizing a brutal ancient system that they had in place. He did not invent it, and he was not endorsing it. So God regulating something is not the same as him approving it. So God permitted that temporarily, and he literally said that was not the ideal, that was not the end goal. So instead of God just trying to snap fingers and just control them like robots and change their behavior, he wants to show them why it was wrong.
And I want to add on to that, because a lot of times we see that he's been the blame, and I always will say, if we take him out of the picture, who is the blame, right? Who is the
human beings?
Hold on, yeah, okay, perfect.
Human beings, I agree.
That's still no. That is still the case, because human beings still have action, the ability to control their actions. I believe that everybody has this sense of being able to know right from wrong. He gave us that. So if you telling me that you don't have that, you don't know what to do with that, then that's just you just not taking that accountability, knowing that something is wrong and you should not be doing something. Because if, again, we take him out of the picture, it's nothing but human beings. And even if we do put him in the picture, it's still human beings. Because you're saying that, okay, that he didn't do something, he didn't stop everything. Just like Tiffany said, we will always go back and look at it as him being a controller, right? And we're being beings that is controlled by our every move. And that's not something that he did. Even in the Bible, he did not control every evil action that people was about to make or did make.
So I guess two things just to and to kind of get at what you said. As a non-believer, I always believe, like right now, the reason I'm saying God is because this is a Christian. This is a topic about Christianity. And so it's more of an internal critique. This isn't my belief that like there's a God out there that is responsible for these things, right? It's always been humans, right? I think the reason I say God, like if we let's just say we look at another region in the world somewhere and they believe in the God, whatever you want to, Zeus, let's say they believe in Zeus, right? As a child, if you're taught all your life that Zeus exists, right? And as you grow up and develop, you get these urges to do really bad things, right? And then you look in a text where the God you believe in exists, and you see that the God you believe in said it's okay to do some, not all, but some of the bad things that you already had in your heart you wanted to do. You can now use this as justification. You can say, oh, the God I think is all powerful, the God I think runs the world, Zeus, says it's okay for me to, stab poke some of my neighbors every once in a while, right?
That's called delusional.
But this is my thing, Tiffany. This is my thing.
Thank y'all for the gifts. I see y'all. Thank y'all.
I'm not saying, so when I say things like, I guess when me, Roan, and other atheists, when we have conversations and we talk about, blaming God, again, we're doing more of an internal critique. We're not saying that we actively blame God for slavery. We're saying that if again, using the Zeus example, when you have somebody who truly believes that Zeus exists, who was brought up believing Zeus existed, and this person, let's just say he is in fact a bad person, and he looks in these texts and it says some bad things that he's allowed to do, and he goes out and acts on them. He already always wanted to do them, but now he has some kind of justification for why it's okay for him to do it. So when I blame God, it's more so because we have this idea that he's all powerful, all good, all this, all that. I then ask, okay, well, why? I don't necessarily, like, as Dreadful walking around every day, I don't think about, oh, God did slavery. I don't think that. I think humans did slavery. And they justified
picture this.
it.
Yes. I want you to picture this, Dred. Please picture this in your mind. Please do that. That if and every single time somebody, if he was to go back on his word, which he gave people the freedom of what? Choice, right? If he was to go back on his word and he was to control every act, wouldn't you believe that that's him going back on what he said? I mean, what that we have, which is freedom of choice, right? Because if we didn't have that, we will be control beings. But if you picture what you're saying right now, you automatically put beings into a robotic state. There is no freedom. There is no, I want you to picture it. There is absolutely no freedom if he controlled every single evil act that somebody was to make.
The reason I would say I don't think so, and I like, this is something you could like juggle with, but the reason I'd say I don't necessarily think that is because the reason I can't go around burning every enemy I have, any person I don't like with lasers from my eyes, is because if we agree that this God exists and he created me, the reason I can't do that is because God didn't make humans with the ability to shoot lasers from their eyes. Now I can have the thought and the want to do it, but it doesn't impact my free will that I'm not able to do these things, right? So I think he could have created systems and worlds in which humans weren't just able to do particular evils, right? They're like, sure, I think me going around cutting random people down with lasers from my eyes is probably a horrible thing to do, right? I have the thought to do it, but I physically cannot do it. He's not impeding on my free will. In the same way that when we look at the Genesis story, he told them you can eat from any tree within the garden. I think they always had choice, but he said, don't eat of this specific tree. If you take that specific tree out, they still have free range to eat whatever tree they choose to. There's always free will. It's just it's things that are limited to what you can do.
So I track where this conversation is going now. So if you're saying that, right, you could take the tree out. Where is the opportunity for obedience then? Where is the opportunity? Nowhere. And this is my thing when people try, and I even saw a stupid video from this chick that said like what she would do if she was God. When people try to do an internal critique, one thing I've come to understand is that it's a never-ending internal critique. It's just complaining. It's not even a critique anymore. And I'm not saying you're doing that, Dred, because you sound a lot more reasonable than most people do. This is my thing. Let me take that girl's video, for example. She says, oh, if people are just around here committing all these violent acts, right? Instead of telling them, hey, don't do that, I will snap my fingers and zap them out of existence. Okay, well, now you're not God anymore. You're just an evil being. There's no room for obedience. There's not even room for redemption. And that is the point of the Gospels, because we focus too much on the Torah. We focus too much on the slavery. Nobody wants to talk about what Jesus came to do to change. That is the story of redemption. If you take out all of these, if you take out the tree, if you take out all of these things, where is the opportunity for obedience? I would also argue, where is the opportunity for redemption? Because even just so the innocent person can go to heaven, what about the person that did wrong? Because this is why God says we are all one under Christ. If he just said, hey, if you just don't do wrong, but the person does wrong, I'll get rid of them. No, he gives everybody an equal opportunity. He gives everybody that chance. So the story of obedience and the story of redemption, especially in the New Testament, because this is what Jesus came to do. And this is also my thing. When people try to say, oh, where was God? Where was God during this? Where was God during that? Where do you think God was when his own son was on the cross? He was with him. And you know what? As a believer, I ask these questions too. Why? Where is God? Why did God allow this to happen to my nephew, to where he has seizures as a baby? Why is that a thing? I don't know. And that is the only answer that Christians can give. I don't know, but I can tell you this. I do know this. He's the same place where he was when his child was on the cross. He's with you. And a lot of people tend to not understand that or understand the meaning of that. And when we go and we say, oh, well, somebody did this with Christianity, somebody did that, so you know what? I'm not going to follow that. And of course, in this setting, we were on the topic of slavery. Oh, well, Christianity said this, or people used this Bible for evil. Okay, right. I'll give you an analogy. I suggest everybody here knows a concept of tools, right? Everybody understands tools. I'm a drywaller. I use my utility blade all day. It's a great tool. It's used to help and make things easier, whether if you're working, whether if you're opening up your Amazon package, whatever. If I go to Home Depot and I go to the utility blade section and I grab one, and on the back it says use responsibly, it has all these caution warnings, right? But if I take that blade and I use it to harm others, does that mean that we should all boycott a Milwaukee brand? Does that mean Home Depot should shut down? Does that mean we should cancel all tool brands? Or does that mean somebody, even though Milwaukee gave us the rules, God gave us the rules, I took my freedom of choice and chose the same way I could choose to love somebody, which God gave us. I could choose to love somebody and use that blade responsibly. I grabbed it off the shelf and chose it for harm. That, and you were consistent on this. You blame the human. You're not going to blame Milwaukee. You were consistent on that. You're consistent on that. But that's not always the general consensus in the non-believer land. But I'll give you credit because you did say that like 10 minutes ago.
I think a more in Rome. I saw Rome lighting up. Art. Aisha, am I saying your name right?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, because before hold it right quick, Dred. Reason you want to say anything about the prompt? I want you to go into the conversation and Aisha.
Yeah, for sure. When we say the white man's religion, of course, we're just kind of talking about, like, I guess, American whites. And we ought to understand that the term white is really a social class. It has nothing to do with the color of your skin. Matter of fact, there were blacks that identified with this white social class, and it had nothing to do with the color of your skin until the elites started trying to force a divide, and they started to, I guess, amalgamize this whole white supremacy thing to further separate themselves, the elite, from the middle class and the poor class. But I understand how it is determined today by phenotype, because it's much easier to look at somebody and say, oh, this person is black, so therefore they're part of this political party, this social class, they make this amount of money, they live in this kind of neighborhood, and it makes it easier to make judgment calls and things like that. But to call Christianity a white person's religion simply because we would say that Europeans colonized Africa and purportedly used parts of the Bible to justify it to do so is definitely an absurdity, I would say, because Africa had practiced Christianity and also participated in the foundational doctrine of Christianity long before it was colonized. We have at least three church fathers who are African, and we've 15% of those that met at the Nicene Council to form the Nicene Creed. 15% of those were African delegates, African bishops, and this is way before colonialization. So we have a rich church history that includes Africans, and we have countries that participated in Christianity before this, European influence came in and did that. But just like we were talking about the slave Bible, which came later to further this, to further the conquest and the, we're going to call it imperialism. They did so by cutting out parts of the Bible that were cutting up against their doctrine. So they were saying things like, hey, a slave should obey their master. And they would cut out the part where it said that the master needs to be partial to the slave, remembering who is in heaven and who is judging them ultimately, remembering that they have a master in heaven. Let's cut that part out, but let's leave the other part in. So then they had to actually create this slave Bible because the rest of the Bible was causing problems for them. They didn't do it because it was a quick read. They did it because it was causing problems. So that's that part. And then I hear us talking about morality and things like that. An atheist cannot even bring morality into a conversation, because for an atheist, morality would only have to be defined in a social construct, a social constructive way, which just means whatever a society deems is bad is now bad. And whatever society deems good is now good. It can only be based on that society. And if that is true, then you cannot judge another society for what they deem to be true and false. There is no morality. It's a moot point. It evens out, because what you think is good, you can't judge them, because you're like, hey, to each his own. And if you're really going to play that out and say to each his own, then you have to literally say that Christians, whatever they were doing was right. And there is no argument against that. But I'll land there.
Thank you, Risen. I'll do before y'all respond. I gotta let Aisha go. Aisha, you went already or no?
No, she didn't.
Okay, I got you. All right. Thank y'all so much for getting us to 50K. Y'all could take a slight break if you want to, but if my tappers that love to just tap the screen, y'all can continue on. And I would never stop telling you to tap on the screen. And sharing out the live. Ron, you coming off your mic? You want to say something?
I'll go after Aisha.
Oh, okay. Yes, and thank y'all so much for the gifts. Like, thank y'all. Thank y'all so much. All right. And also, we got some beautiful panelists up here that's having this conversation as well. If you want to give them also you can do that. Show them some love. Whoever you are listening to, you like what they're saying, you can definitely engage in that way. Now Aisha, go ahead, love.
It's funny because Riston kind of took my point. I just wanted to bring up the fact that, like, if we're going to critique these things, we have to have an absolute grounding, which I believe, even from like past conversations that we've had, I believe that most atheists don't have that grounding to base good and bad off of. So it's subjective to everybody. But I'll wait until the open panel. I'm working. I'm sorry.
No, you're fine. You're fine. And Risen, you dreadful. Oh my gosh. And Risen, you said something. I don't know if you was talking about the state Bible, but I was saying that before you got here. I think I kind of got in a little bit late when you were saying about the selective these scriptures being selective with certain scriptures and stuff like that. And to me, I was just talking about that before you got here. I don't know how long you've been here, but yeah, I was talking about that because that, when I found that out, I'm just like, okay, well, that's how I was feeling. But go ahead, Ron.
Yeah, I heard you were talking about it.
Oh, okay, cool. Yeah. Okay, Ron, go ahead.
Yeah, I wanted to reiterate something because it kind of goes back to something earlier that was discussed with Love Song when she was up here. But it's for the simple fact, like, we live in a day and time now where we have so much available to us when it comes to information that, like, a lot of people today in 2026 can create their own spiritual journey, or they can develop their own personal ideologies and philosophy and stuff like that. Whereas, like, 200 years ago, the average Black person in America could not do that, and probably not even put into the framework of that he couldn't do it, but that, like, he was put in such a paradigm to where he didn't even probably knew that he could do that, because everything that he knew or that Black people knew was just waking up on the plantation, sharecropping, gathering wheat and rice and cotton and all these different things, and sugar cane and stuff like that. And, there was in straight survival mode for, 24/7. All they knew was, calling upon God on, having that rest day on Sunday. And then you slaving from Monday to Saturday. And so something that I was kind of reiterating in the beginning of the live stream is that, like, for me, it took for me to go through this process of understanding, like, what happened to my people, what happened to my ancestors, to where I had completely cut myself off from this, what I call, like, bastardized Christianity in America, to make a circle back around through my journey in Omnism and studying mysticism to understand that the teachings of Christ and what's being showcased in the Gospels is completely different from the religion of Christianity that you see widespread in America. And I will even argue throughout the world, because westernized Christianity is not just, in America. You see it a lot in different parts of the Americas and in different parts of Africa as well. So, when you're dealing with this idea of Christianity, I think we live in a day and time where, like, as Black people are beginning to wake up and you're starting to see, like, an uprising, this deconstruction movement, that a lot of people are beginning to be very more honest with how they feel towards a book that was written at a certain time for a certain set of people in a certain age. And as time begins to move on, the more nuanced the interpretation of the Bible is. Like, by default, everybody has to take the book out of context, because if you're reading from the Old Testament, we're not the Israelites. So, you have to kind of put it in a certain dynamic where it could fit you and your personal life. I mean, a lot of the things that they were going through that was read or said contextually in a lot of their scripts, you have to try and modernize it in a sense and stuff like that. So to even push on further with that presentation, when we're dealing with like the framework of Christianity in the way that it was given to Black people, there are some Black people that dress like as soon as they discover about all of that happened to them, and they study about the trauma and like the experiences that a lot of their ancestors went through. Like how you said, Darisha, I had dropped Christianity like a bad habit. Now, for me, I have a different lens in understanding that there are many different ways of depicting Christianity or depicting Christ, or many different ways of like how people have their connection with Christ or the story of Christ. But for me, because of what I have studied during the transatlantic slave trade, what happened to my people, there's no possible way whatsoever that I could ever go back to being a Bible thumper or a believer, just due to the fact of that history that I just cannot ignore. Now, I do understand the teachings of Christ. I respect it. And even in some cases, I apply some of the teachings of Christ in my life, right? But when it comes to the basis of following a religion or giving praise to somebody outside of myself, that is definitely where it has crossed the boundaries with who I am and how I want to live my life. So I think like when we're dealing with Christianity, with Black people waking up today, I think people just have to be very empathetic towards the emotions that are applied when we're talking about the way that Black people were Christianized, because it wasn't just like something where, they was just yelling at the slaves to conform to Jesus, right? Like if you ever seen Roots, which is just kind of surface level of what happened, Kunta Kinte being whipped to a pulp with the inch of his life, to where he conformed from being he went from being Kunta Kinte to now being Toby, right? That was just his pure identity for the rest of his life. And so I think people just have to like really use their imagination, because that's really about as close as we can do, outside of like studying what's been documented about slavery, and really just try and like figure out like what exactly our ancestors went through, to where they were kind of traumatized into believing in Jesus Christ. They were traumatized into Christianity in a sense. And we're looking at how Black people practice Christianity today in 2026.
No, but that's not true, Ron. They was not forced into Christianity.
Yeah, what was
the scriptures was already original. When we talking about this subject, we can't sit here and say that the YT people or the Europeans forced this belief on us. This is not something that was new. This is not something that was given, that they did not originate the Abrahamic belief. Just because they had their agenda as to what they did, as we had mentioned, the Bible, right, that they created, that they formed, put different scriptures that would for power and for control, right? That's still man's actions at the end of the day, right? So we
So I agree with what you're saying about the whole aspect of Christianity didn't originate from Caucasians. That wasn't the point that I was making. The point was that
you said that it was forced. It was forced on them. Like it wasn't their belief in the beginning.
Yeah. For a lot of West African, because a lot of it was mostly West African, Central Africans, and some South African people that were taken from their lands and brought into the Americas. The religion that was forced on them was Roman Catholicism, or Christianity. I mean, Roman Catholicism is Christianity, but Christianity was enforced on them, and they were forced to be stripped of their identity and their spiritual practices. Now, how I was talking about from before, the religion of Christianity that's practiced in America is very synchronize their indigenous spiritual practices into
Christian with like
into
Buddhism.
Christianity.
But historically, it's
So
not.
we was asking earlier about what Bible were you referring to, because I know that's what I was. You said the King James, so I'm gonna go and look up that because if we're gonna talk about the Christianity aspect, we have to break down. We will have to go from the beginning and break that down, because if it was already like Christianity already being in these places, and now we're saying that it was forced on them, that's what I'm trying to,
I don't know if you heard me, Lena. What I was saying was that like we can acknowledge from a historical standpoint, we can acknowledge like because we know it was the scriptures were written in Hebrew in Greece, so we know it has Greco-Roman origins. But we can acknowledge like absolutely there was one of the first Bibles it's not the first, but one of the first Bibles we know of definitely did exist in Ethiopia. But I was, me and Rome were saying, or at least I was saying to Rome, just to get clarity, that while we can acknowledge it did exist in, small subsects of Africa, the parts where my ancestors are from, right? The parts where Black American, their ancestors come from is West Africa. And there is no data that shows Christianity was in West Africa.
Okay, pause right there.
Does that make sense?
Right there. So how do you know you're from West Africa?
Oh, well, I still have connection to my family in West Africa, so I know.
So you took a DNA test?
Well, I still have connection to my family out in Nigeria. Some of my family are Igbo, so I still have like connection out there.
Okay, wrong. So you're from West Africa?
Yeah, so my people are Gullah Geechee. Most of the Gullah Geechee people are made up of Western and Central Africa.
Okay, so you all are saying that Christianity wasn't in West Africa, but they had brought.
(14th to 15th century) that they brought Christianity. They introduced Christianity to that scope.
Tiffany, my bad. Go ahead, love. I was
You good. I agree. Christianity was mainly in.
It's saying. I'm so sorry.
No, you good.
It's saying it was in West Africa, so that concept, I think that's historically incorrect. It's for I don't know where y'all got that from, or site, or I don't know.
Well, come on. Christianity already existed in parts of Africa. That's true, but I do agree it was primarily in East and North Africa.
Wait, what was historically inaccurate?
Well, it just said it was in West Africa. That's why I'm trying to see.
No, I agree, but I mean, what we're seeing it was introduced in West Africa at a certain time.
Yeah, and I agree with that.
Oh no, that's my children playing in the background, Jay.
but that's what I agree. It was primarily like voluntary in East and North Africa. When you look at West Africa, they got Christianity through